There are loads of benefits for Australians to be studying in Indonesia, not just Indonesian language, but a range of different programs and a range of different disciplines. You are developing your cross-cultural skills, you are developing your employability for when you come back to Australia and you're looking for work, but you're also really challenging yourself by pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to experience something completely different and be immersed in a culture that's very, very different to Australia's. I think the value of those programs, in particular the New Colombo Plan, initiatives like the Hamer Scholarship and other scholarships that we've seen over the time this has been going on, have a real impact on not just Australian students who are going overseas to learn about our nearest neighbour, but on the Indonesians that you're meeting in Indonesia as well. We talk about these kinds of circles of influence and impact. When one student goes overseas and they have this very transformative, life-changing experience, what then does that do for their circles, in their family, in their profession, what they go on to do with their lives? I think they can have really life-changing, transformative effects. I think there are some really interesting areas that Australian students can be studying in Indonesia and learning from Indonesia. So for example, digital economy is a huge growing area. Digital markets, social media, app building, small startups and entrepreneurships, things like that are happening in Indonesia at a very rapid pace compared with Australia, for example. I know that students who've gone over and done internships with ACICIS in the business program, for example, have worked with these small startups and gone to see incredible things that they simply wouldn't have learned in a classroom. We're also seeing a lot of growth in public health, for example, and in agriculture, sustainable tourism, and a whole range of different disciplines that students can really gain some first-hand experience in by actually being in Indonesia. You're not going to get those kinds of insights by staying in Australia. There are more opportunities than ever before at the moment for Australian students to participate in outbound mobility. I think students these days are very lucky for how they can actually get to Indonesia to study and intern as well. So of course you have for undergraduate students, probably the number one way to go at the moment would be through New Colombo Plan scholarships and New Colombo Plan mobility grants. So these will allow you to go through organisations that are established like ACICIS, or through your own university if they're leading a program that goes over there. Anything from 2 weeks up to a full year, year and a half of study and interning in country, depending on what your interests are. So there's a real breadth of variety there in what students can actually do. I would also say that there are opportunities for students to go over to do research, to do volunteering. The AVI program, Australian Volunteers International, one of the longest volunteer programs running in Indonesia, still doing programs as well in a range of different sectors that really encourage this vocational kind of engagement and giving back in community development. I've learnt so much from my time in Indonesia, not just this last stint as Resident Director with ACICIS over the last 4.5 years, but before that as a student, as an intern, as a volunteer, as a tourist. And I suppose what I would want to say to Australians is take a risk and go to Indonesia. It's right there, it's next door, and it is so much more than Bali. There is a lot that we don't know about each other, both Australians about Indonesians and Indonesians about Australians. And if we start having the conversations and if we start really making an effort to actually get to know each other, it can have incredibly long-lasting impacts, resulting in friendships, work opportunities, and just a really broader sense of who we are as neighbours and how we can actually operate together and work together in the region.